So this is our trip on the Coast Starlight Train from Los Angeles to Portland. We arrived on the 29th, the 28th, and we went and got breakfast at Philippe's, a well-known breakfast or well-known cafe. We got some really nice stuff. They're quite well known for the French dips. Alana got this gorgeous egg. The kids had a variety of different things. Very nice. I love the interior, sawdust, old phones, lots of things like that. We walked about 2 blocks to Union Station. It's a beautiful station. It was very nice. You can see some of the nice interior here. We got there about half an hour before the train was supposed to leave. You can see the Coast Starlights on the departures board there. And we walked over to where we got onto the train. I really liked some of the views that we got there. This is the engine that pulls our train. They had this nice poster talking about the Coast Starlight, and I even convinced my family to take some pictures. Here's Scott sitting in their economy cabin. This is one of the cabins. We had four of these roomettes for 7 people. And here we go, pulling out of the station, going through Los Angeles. Beautiful bridges, some nice things to look at. So the roomettes are quite nice. They've got a little table in there. The kids set up in one of the roomettes and played a bunch of card games. Alana, Lisa, and myself set up in another, and we had a bottle of wine. We also had a nice view out the window, so you'll catch a bit of what we're seeing as we pull out. This here is in northern LA. There's a lot of agriculture um, in that area, so we went by lots of different types of farms. We saw some citrus stuff, leafy greens, and all sorts of things. Quite nice, just sort of sitting and looking out the window. Compared to an airplane, it's super smooth, super quiet. So we're talking the whole time. It's real easy. Definitely not as fast, but the experience itself is quite nice. And so I think if you've got the time, it's definitely worth doing it. The Coast Starlight, for a while after you leave Los Angeles, goes up the actual coast. It doesn't do this for the whole way, but I've got a few videos of us zooming up the coast for a bit, which was really nice. And of course, your view depends on which side of the train that you are sitting in. We had roomettes on both sides, three on the lower level, one on the upper level. So between those, we had a pretty good chance to see the different things that we wanted to see. Very nice. And it's, just so nice to sit and talk. And super roomy, 3 people in a roomette was not a problem at all. For sitting, it'd be tough to do more than that, I think. And certainly not sleeping. When we had breaks, we'd get out and stretch our legs. Not all stations were walk breaks, but sometimes you could get out. So we'd get out and do that and take a picture often. So here's one of those. We headed up to the observation deck, so it's just a nice place to relax with really big windows and very nice views. After that, we had our first lunch, which is included in the fare with the roomettes. So, with our party of 8, we usually had 2 tables across from each other. Otherwise, you'd often get seated with people that you didn't know because there's limited space. The lunch was quite nice. We had a variety of different things, salads, and Beyond Burgers, and they come with very filling desserts as well. So after lunch, we got back on the train and broke out into our respective rooms. Uh, we traveled some more, so I think this time lapse video that Lisa took is quite interesting, showing some of the locations that we went through and kind of get a feel for things. We then took another stop, I believe, in Salinas, California, for a bit. And after that, we had dinner. So dinner again's in the dining car. You need to make reservations, but you have preferences for those if you're in the sleeper cars, and they ask you what time. So we got our reservations and headed over there. I had a nice little salad before. I believe I had the salmon. That was some heavy shrimp, tempura shrimp. Alan had the steak. It looked like it was super great. The potatoes were really good. And then the desserts were just massive, a big old chocolate cake and a cheesecake of some kind. Um, the kids broke out into their rooms and played some cards. And while we were at dinner, the attendant put together the beds for us to get ready to go to sleep. So the roomettes each sleep two people, one on top, one on the bottom. Here's a time lapse that Lisa took, kind of showing as the evening wore on. So you can kind of get a feeling for what the sunset starts to look like. It was really quite nice. Since we had four roomettes, that was eight spaces for seven people. Worked out pretty well. And we got a nice shot of our attendant looking out the special train window. This is the sleeper cabin that I was in. Quite nice, very comfortable. We had a couple of these. Well, we had four of those roomettes. And of course, we had people on the upper bunk as well. I was on my own, so I wasn't using the upper bunk. I don't have any pictures of us in the upper bunk, so that's a miss on my part. As you sleep, the train keeps going, so you probably want to close your curtains so that people aren't going to see in. But it's a kind of nice motion. It helps you get to sleep. This is probably at about 5:45 in the morning, around when I woke up. Started to take some pictures, or this is a bit later. So you can get some quite nice views. And in fact, this is a time they ask you to, they tell you about it because you get some nice views of Mount Shasta, like we have here. This is what the dining car looks like. There's another one of these. You have to walk through it to get to the observation car, which looks like this. So lots of people in the morning were up here, and I joined for a while and get some nice views of Mount Shasta as we're going by it. So eventually everyone wakes up. We take a stop at Klamath Falls and get out, take a picture or two, stretch our legs, and then head up to breakfast. Um, it's a nice breakfast, I think. Had some good, I believe it was what, French toast and strawberries. And then I went to take a shower. Okay, let's go take a shower. All right, we're in the shower. This is the changing room. Plenty of towels, amenities. Nice. Put my clothes down, and here's what the shower looks like. Here, got a nice shower set up. It's fairly large. Let's see if it works. Well, I think that was without a doubt the best shower I've had on a train or a moving vehicle. Of course, it's, I think, the only shower I've had on a moving vehicle. But that was quite nice. The water got warm, or almost hot. Not as, I'd make it a little hotter at home, but it was nice. Good shower. All aboard! There, that's for you. We had a final lunch aboard the train, and then we had a little bit of time, but not too long after that, we got out at Portland. The train continues on to Seattle, But we got out here, and that was the end of our train journey. Lots of fun. Highly recommend it.